It's the third night. You're wrapped in animal skin by a dying fire, and one tooth is trying to kill you. It started 3 days ago as a dull throb, deep in the jaw. Now the whole side of your face is swollen, hot to the touch. You can't chew, you can't sleep, you just wait. And there is no dentist. There won't be one for another 20,000 years. It's just you and a rotting tooth, and pain crawling slowly toward your brain. This was one of the most common ways to die. Not from a beast, from your own mouth. And here's how they fought back, with rocks, plants, and pure nerve. Right now, that same pain means a phone call. Back then, it meant you might not see spring. So how did anyone survive a mouth like this? First, you have to understand why the mouth kills. Here's the part nobody tells you. A broken bone heals. A cut closes. A tooth never repairs itself. Ever. Once decay breaks the enamel, damage moves one way, inward, toward the soft nerve at the center. When bacteria reach that nerve, the pain is unreal. But the pain was never what killed you. Below the root, infection pooled into an abscess, a sealed pocket of bacteria with nowhere to drain. From there, it had two roads, down into the jawbone, or up toward the brain. The veins in your face drain backward toward the skull. So an infection in the jaw had a road up, from a bad tooth to the brain in days. Once it hit the blood, the whole body was the battlefield. That's sepsis, your own blood turning against you. And nobody knew what infection even was. No germs, no bacteria, no invisible enemy. They just felt the heat climb. Fever first, then swelling down the neck, then confusion, then, very often, nothing. Your mouth was the deadliest thing you owned, and you carried it everywhere you went. So here's the first twist. The pain wasn't the problem. The pain was a warning. The real killer was already in the blood, silent. You've put off a dentist visit out of fear. For most of history, that fear had another name, dying. So how do you fight an enemy you can't see? You start with the pain you can feel, and some of what they reached for actually worked. Start with clove. They chewed the dried buds raw, then pressed them against the aching tooth. Clove carries a compound that numbs on contact. The same compound your dentist swabs on today. Then willow bark. They stripped it, chewed it, and the ache dropped. Willow holds salicin. Chemists would later turn that into aspirin. They self-medicated with the raw source of your pills. That clove taste in your toothpaste isn't a flavor. It's a painkiller your ancestors chewed off the plant. But numbing was the gentle end of the toolkit. When herbs failed, they went after the nerve. They heated a stone until it glowed orange, then pressed it into the open tooth. Cautery. Kill the nerve, kill the signal. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it spread the infection. No anesthetic. You were awake for every second. And behind all of it sat one strange theory. The tooth worm. People believed a worm lived inside the aching tooth, chewing it from within. The wriggling was the pain. And this wasn't one weird idea in one village. It's written into Babylonian clay tablets, into Egyptian records, into China, into India. The same wrong answer invented separately everywhere. So how do you evict a worm? You smoke it out. They burned henbane seeds and funneled the smoke in. There was never a worm. They were wrong. But the henbane smoke actually numbed the pain. Right answer, insane reason. But for every trick that worked, a dozen didn't. Pliny the Elder had a cure for toothache. Catch a frog by moonlight and ask it politely. Ask the frog to take your pain away. It did nothing, obviously. The tooth kept rotting. Others were worse than nothing. Roman writers packed cavities with things that poisoned you. And yet, some of the daily care was sharp. Egyptians ground the first known toothpaste. Burnt eggshell, ash, and ground hooves scrubbed on raw. Abrasive, gritty, and 1,500 years before Colgate. By now, some people had made the mouth their job. In Egypt, 4,500 years ago, one man's tomb carries a title, Hesire. It reads, the great one of the dentists, the first tooth doctor in history, known by name. He kept the pharaoh's builders able to chew. Later scrolls list the cures, pages of remedies for toothache, gums, and abscess. Many were paste and rinse, packed with honey, which sounds like sweet nonsense, until you learn honey actually kills bacteria. Another accidental hit. They slowed the enemy without naming it. Now here's where guessing turns into surgery. Because at some point, someone decided to go in. And the date on that will surprise you. 9,000 years ago at Mehrgarh, archaeologists found 11 teeth from 9 adults. Each one carried a clean, round, deliberate hole drilled into the molars. Living molars, on purpose. The tool was a flint tip on a bow drill, the same rig they used to bore stone beads. They pointed a jewellery tool at a human mouth. Sit inside that scene for a second. You're on a mat of skins. Someone leans over you. A spinning stone bit meets a living tooth. Nothing to numb it. You feel all of it. And here's the detail that stops you cold. Some of those teeth were drilled more than once. The patient came back for the other side. Whatever the drill did, it beat the alternative. And this ran for 1,500 years there. Not one strange event. A tradition, handed down. Sound familiar? It should. That's a dentist's drill. 9,000 years old. Same idea, worse chair. And drilling wasn't their only trick. Jump to a cave near Launch in Slovenia. 6,500 years ago, a young man cracked a tooth. The split ran straight down into the sensitive layer, and someone packed that crack with beeswax, the oldest dental filling anyone has ever found. It sealed the raw nerve from air and cold, a rough version of what a filling does now. Take a breath, because this part gets underestimated. Drilling and filling teeth is older than the wheel, older than writing, older than the pyramids. Before anyone wrote a word, someone fixed a neighbor's tooth, which raises a question that flips the story. If they were this skilled, why were mouths rotting? You'd assume ancient teeth were just worse than yours. Fair guess. It's also almost exactly backwards. Go back before farming, to the hunter-gatherers. Look at their skulls. Something strange shows up. Or rather, it doesn't. In many groups, cavities are nearly absent, worn flat from grit, but not rotted through. Their diet was meat, roots, nuts, wild plants. Almost nothing soft and sugary for bacteria to eat. Then, about 10,000 years ago, one thing changed. Farming. Here's the culprit. Grain, ground into flour, boiled into porridge. Soft, sticky carbohydrate that clings to the enamel. Bacteria turn that starch into acid. Acid eats enamel. The farming that fed the world rotted its teeth. Feed more people, rot more mouths. One trade. And those drilled teeth at Mehrgarh? Those were farmers. The grain that wore them down invented the dentist. To be fair, it isn't a perfect rule. Some foragers ate wild acorns and rotted their teeth too. The trigger is starch and sugar, whoever eats it. But the big jump lines up with the plow. And once mouths rotted at scale, trades grew around it. Moved to the Etruscans in Italy around 700 BC. They mounted human and animal teeth in bands of gold. The oldest false teeth we have, riveted with gold pins. Some replaced teeth pulled out on purpose for looks. A dental bridge worn as jewellery before Rome peaked. Before Rome, the Greeks were already writing it down. Hippocrates and Aristotle described how teeth erupt, how to treat decay, how to pull with forceps. They warned, only pull a tooth already loose. A firm tooth fought back and broke the jaw. Then Rome, where extraction became a real craft. A writer named Celsus set the method down in detail. Loosen the tooth first, wiggle it, only then pull. Yank too early and it shatters, roots left behind. In the Roman Forum, they found a drain full of teeth. No breaks, no tool scars. Whoever pulled them was skilled. Then Rome fell, and the skill fell with it. For centuries after, a killer tooth didn't get you a doctor. Got you a barber? The man who cut your hair pulled your teeth, often to a drum beat that covered the screaming. And when nothing worked, people turned to prayer. They prayed to Saint Apollonia. Legend says a mob smashed out all her teeth, so she became the saint you begged in agony. For 1,000 years, that was the plan. A barber or a prayer. That's how bad it stayed. Rome could pull a tooth cleanly. 1,000 years later, a stranger with pliers and a drum. Progress isn't a straight line. Sometimes it goes backwards for 1,000 years. And backwards in one place isn't backwards everywhere. While Europe leaned on pliers, China was mixing metal. Around 659, a text describes a silver paste, silver and tin packed soft into a cavity, a soft filling that hardens. That's an amalgam. The same idea sat in your grandparents' teeth 1,000 years before any Western dentist tried it. And the West took its sweet time catching up. Then, in 1728, one Frenchman ended the guessing. Pierre Fauchard wrote the first real book on teeth, and he killed the toothworm for good. He'd looked through a microscope, found no worm, just decay. And the real cause behind it, sugar, the thing your ancestors barely had, and you swim in. It took 9,000 years to name the culprit. But under every method sat the same brutal fact. None of it touched the real killer. The infection already loose in the blood. They could numb it, pull it, burn it, pray over it. But a spread abscess, nothing could pull back. The real fix wouldn't arrive until the 20th century. Antibiotics, a pill that kills it before the blood. Before that, a tooth was a coin flip with death. And most people flipped it wide awake. Every time you go numb and feel nothing, you skip the worst pain most humans ever faced awake. So let's go back to that fire. And the man from the first 10 seconds. He isn't a made-up character. He's every ancestor who carried a swollen jaw and lived. Think about that line stretching back behind you. Thousands of them, stretching back into the dark. Everyone kept their teeth from killing them. Because if one of them hadn't, you wouldn't be here. Every clove leaf, every glowing stone, every prayer, all of it just to reach the morning after. You fear the drill. That drill is why a toothache is an errand now. Not a death sentence, an errand. The rock, the smoke, the gold, the pliers. Everyone was reaching for what you already have. They earned it the hard way, one nerve at a time. So be honest with yourself for a second. A rotten tooth, no dentist, no painkillers, just a sharp rock and a friend with a steady hand. Could you actually go through with it? Or would you live with the tooth? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one.